Okay, wonderful. Education is a wonderful gift that we receive from life and the Creator. So, education is something we share what we have received. It's not like somebody is a teacher and another person is a student. Teacher is also a student, and if a teacher forgets that, he stops being a teacher and becomes outdated. In fact, there is only one teacher. And if we can open ourselves more and more to the one teacher, Jagat Guru, that's how we say, no? Who is everywhere in everything. He is there in the pillar, in the mountains, in the rivers, in the air you breathe. What is he teaching us through all this? What is the first lesson that we get from the world teacher in the morning when we wake up and look at the sun, or even without looking at the sun? See how the teacher teaches us. There is no night which never ends. Isn't it? What is more true? Night or the sun? The darkness or the sun? Which is more true? Sun. Sun is a reality. Darkness is turning away from the sun. See, this early morning we get this lesson. So wonderful, no? That sun is the reality and darkness is simply a turning away from the sun. That's how when the earth moves, no? Also, night and day alternate. I'm just talking of morning lesson, still. I'll come to the questions a little later. Just to set the ball rolling. So night and day, every day there is the same sun which rises. Is it the same sun? Has something happened during the previous sun and the morning sun, next day sun? Has life stopped moving? Life has moved. Has it moved only through day, or does it move even when we are asleep? Right? So even when we are not conscious, even when we are asleep and we have forgotten who we are, why we are, even when we are having nightmares, time is moving forward. The great message of Vedanta is that everything is moving forwards. We may not understand it like night and day. Yet it is moving forward. This is the beautiful lesson. Isn't it a beautiful lesson? What seems like a night is a passage through which we are moving forward. And of course, during day we put in our effort and we move forward. At night we cannot see, we cannot understand. We feel we have been left alone. And yet we are moving forward. Isn't this a beautiful lesson? Another lesson that the sun teaches us, or the world teacher, every morning. That it's not enough that the sun is a reason. We have to open the doors, windows, curtains. If we keep them closed, sun will come and go away and we'll move very, very little. We'll still move. It's not enough that there is, some people say, oh, God is in the world. What is He doing? It's not only His job. His job description He knows. But our job description is to open to Him. He is not expecting us to do too many things. He knows our limitations. Like for instance, you have this question, how do we, overcome our shortcomings? Big thing, huh? Yeah. Stop thinking of shortcomings. I'm going to give a very paradoxical answer. Stop thinking of shortcomings. When I had come to the ashram in the beginning, I'll explain that in a moment. So I asked one of the teachers who was here. We had grown very close, and I asked him, there is so many things that, in the beginning you try to pick out every little defect in your nature and you want to remove it. So I was mentioning that to him. So I said, but there are many defects I can't see inside myself. And I'm sure you would be able to see. So I'll be very glad if you can tell me my defects. Because I always felt that when God loves you, He puts somebody in contact with you who can criticize you. Okay? It's a great fortune. If everybody is praising you, that means God has thought a kindergarten child, give him lollipops. Okay? It is only when you start moving ahead that you will get criticism. It's a good sign, means you are progressing. That's why now So I asked him, what is the defect? So he laughed. He said, this is the defect. I said, what? That you are thinking of defects. That time I took it a bit, this is a way of saying, he just kidding. But then over a period of time you understand. And this is there in Mother's Works, volume 2, there is a very beautiful passage. He says, the Divine Mother does not condemn anyone. And when Mother was asked a question in 56 or 57 after the supramental manifestation, I think it was 56, she said, you know why you people are not able to overcome your difficulties? So they said, why, Mother? Said, because you are too much hypnotized by them. And then he says, if only you could have faith in the grace, instead of being hypnotized by your little difficulties or big difficulties, you will overcome and you will go through so beautifully. The core problem is a question of faith. Core problem. The Gita speaks of man is his faith. This faith has nothing to do with religion. It has nothing to do with our beliefs and not beliefs. What is in our core faith? If I ask this question randomly, you don't have to answer like children, huh? But do you have faith that there is a higher destiny for man, or man is finished product, last? Faith. Faith is something which will leap up from within, instinctively. Does man have a higher destiny, higher possibility? It should come from inside. That is faith. Why? Of course, we can give reasons. I can give a reason. That because if there is divine in creation, there has to be a higher destiny. Logical. Isn't it? How can it stop with a half-finished product like man? I can give a very material reason. Biological reason. If evolution has come till man, it is destined to go further. The evolutionary urge cannot stop. Isn't it? So evolution, whether you look from biological material standpoint or you look from the spiritual point, evolution cannot be an end product, finished product. Isn't it? So now if there is faith that things will evolve, then I have a role to play. And what is my role? To help in the evolutionary process. Very simple, logical. How do I help in the evolutionary process is the right question that we need to ask. Instead of struggling with a defect while we are still human, there are many things which seem like defects. How do we know they are defects? Can you tell me one thing which looks like a defect? In students you will see it sometime, but is actually a positive thing which looks like a defect. I'll give two examples, just to keep the time intact. Have you thought of anything? Two things in student which looks like a defect but is actually not a defect when seen from another angle. Have you met children who are very obstinate, jiddi? Is it a defect? If I say they don't listen to me, it is a defect. I want that they should hear me. But obstinacy is a good quality of persevering. It is it is the other side of determination. He will refuse to yield. If this quality is turned in the right direction, it is a great quality. That if is the task of the teacher. Another thing which is regarded as defect, revolt. Never give up is obstinacy, absolutely. What about revolt? Revolt, is it good or bad? See how things change. Generally, we think it is bad. Parents think it is bad. But people who have never revolted have remained stuck in their fixed positions. Revolt is nature's way of pushing you beyond your comfort zones, isn't it? I'll tell you one good quality, two good qualities, which are defects in another way. Okay? One is obedience. Everybody says, oh, my children, very obedient child. Very risky, huh? The child will become a clone of parents. Do we want children to be clones or we want them to move forward? So you see, obedience becomes a problem. Hitler's army was very obedient. When the commander said, put them to gas chamber, immediately they executed. Was this a good thing to do? Okay. And another good quality, which becomes a great defect, is there in the Mahabharata. In Mahabharata, you will see many of these paradoxes, even in Ramayana. In Mahabharata, very classically, you will see it. So, generosity, Karn, promise. What does the Mahabharata teach us? Promise is a great virtue. I must keep my promise. Shri Krishna doesn't keep his own promise that I'll not. He keeps the promise, but he breaks the promise. There is a very interesting incident in Mahabharata. I don't know. All of you have read a little bit conversing. So don't know the only time when Shri Krishna raises the arms, he has promised he will never raise arms. Okay, so there is a incidence when Bhishma is attacking Arjun very badly. So a time comes when Arjun is unable to take that onslaught. And at that point, suddenly Krishna stands between Arjun and Bhishma and picks up the wheel of the chariot. And Bhishma Pitama, in that flurry of one-upmanship, fires all the astras and shastras. But they all stop, nothing can damage him. Then he asks, what is happening to all these astras? He says, don't you know who I am, who is on the battlefield? He says, but you promised you will never lift a weapon. He says, yes, but I also promised that I'll save Arjuna because he has given himself to me. So I have two promises. If I keep my promise on never lifting an arm, I have to let go of the promise to save my devotee. So I don't mind what the world calls me, but I choose to save my devotee. So in life we face these dilemmas. That's how the Gita starts. To fight is right, not fighting is also right. So how is the choices to be made? You'll see that most of our difficulties is a question of choices. How do you make a choice? Based on what? One is the social principles, the moral ideas of a time, parents, teachers, all the things we have learned. But is there something which is more stable, based on which we can take our decision? There is a term which is used in Indian thought, that is dharma. Okay? Dharma is not a mental conception. Mental conceptions are fixed. I'll give you an example. Mental conception is non-violence. It's a mental idea. But dharma is not about violence or not violence. Dharma is about truth as it is unfolding. Truth, keep truth in the heart and then let it unfold in life. That's dharma. You can't fix it into a standard of conduct. Okay? So dharma is to be understood, felt. For each one it will be different. In each vocation, everywhere. So these are some of the things we need to ponder. One more thing before we open to questions. Since all of you are in the teaching profession, right? So everything in this world acts on a ground of being, matrix. When the healer separates himself from the healing and the healed and the matrix, he simply prescribes medicines. But healer, healing, and the healed are one unit in a common matrix. Like the Bhakt, Bhagwan, and the Bhagavad. Like the one who is seeking that which is sought, I'm talking of yoga, and the process by which the seeker and the sought become one. The seeker, seeking, and the sought. The knowledge, knower, and the known. These are trilogies. Everywhere you'll find. So in teaching, it is the teacher, the taught, and the teaching. They are one matrix. So why I am saying it may sound very abstract, but it has practical implication. For example, in a classroom, when you standardize the same way for all the 30 or I don't know how many students, then you are cutting off the third important aspect of the matrix, which is taught. You are not taking into consideration the child's dharma. Isn't it? He is an important person. We have to consult him in the teaching process. Does he even want to understand or hear what I am speaking? He may not. It doesn't mean he is a bad child. He may be more capable. Also, everybody receives the same education. I mean, you do B.Ed, you have a subject, you have learned that. But then, teaching. What is the method you are using to implement that? So that's where we see Sri Aurobindo says, awaken rather than instruct. Awaken. Awakening is pointing out, look there, see. Instruction is, it happens like this. Do this, don't do this. So, one fundamental task that we have as teachers and as human beings, and after this we all can have questions, is to become conscious. We give children list of do's and don'ts. We make ourselves also list of do's and don'ts. But just tell me one thing, from morning till now, this moment, you must have done hundreds of things, isn't it? Every day we do. Why do we do that? All of you have gone to the Samadhi. Why? All of you are here. Why? You are attending a class. Why? Ask this question inside and help children ask this question to themselves. Make them conscious of the motives. You may say, sir, इससे क्या फर्क पड़ता है? I'll give you an example. In medical school, I have gone. You ask people, why are you studying in medical school? And somebody may say, पागल है क्या? ये question कोई question है? Doctor बनना है. Isn't it? That's not the question. That's not the answer. डॉक्टर क्यों बनना है? अरे कोविड का टाइम आएगा ना, खूब पैसा बनाएंगे. हो गया ना, मोटिव चेंज हो गया. Another person, I feel lot of karuna in my heart. Third person, I want to help people. Fourth person, I just feel happy in healing. Fifth person, I feel I am having some healing capacity innate in me. Sixth, I was impressed seeing a person heal me when I was sick. Seventh person, I am a very ambitious person. Doctors get lot of respect, although not so much nowadays. So I want to be a doctor. Why? Because I want to earn respect. The most useless thing in life is to want respect. demanding respect. Please give me some respect. Why I am a doctor? Isn't it stupid and silly? People should not respect you because you have this, that. Do we respect our mothers because they've got a degree? There is something even greater than respect, which is love. Okay? So become conscious of the motives. Become conscious of why you do whatever you do. And you will see half your problems melt away. Or rather, you will see where the problem is. Why do I please others? Oh, I want to look good in the eyes of others. There are a lot of children like that. And they got a very good child, very good. He's not a good child. This child is only trying to impress everybody. When he grows up, he will get a Padam Shri. Sorry. Doing the same thing. But he'll not be the one who will actively contribute to the world. When were the seeds sown? When teachers told the child, very good, well-behaved child. And now he gets praise. So he keeps on repeating that behavior outwardly, mind you. So many times I see same cases where I'm doctor. So people come and tell me, वैसे बहुत अच्छे लगते हैं दुनिया के सामने मुझसे पूछो. But that's not because the person is bad. But I'm just saying that, that we have learned to put up good behavior because it is rewarding. And same thing we apply even to God, law of karma. You must be honest. Why? Because you'll get paradise, seat in paradise. The ticket, while departing, will be given a ticket. वहाँ दिखा देना मेरा सरनेम ये था. You will get a seat in paradise. Maybe next life you will get nice money. Don't you see how foolish this doctrine is? Being good for the joy of being good is quite another than being good so that we can get rewards, approval, social approval. So there are plenty of things behind which many things remain hidden. Karna's gratefulness becomes the cause of his downfall, because it was not just gratitude, it was ambition which was hiding behind apparent gratitude. So we must be able to see these things inside. And how are we going to help children see it if we ourselves don't see it? It requires a great sincerity look inside. But this seeing does not mean that we become, oh, I am a defective piece. No. Then you offer it. Next is you offer it to the divine. That I don't understand this there in me. You help me. You cure me. You do something about it. And then the divine grace helps. Alright? But don't be obsessed with difficulties. Be obsessed with the focused on the goal towards which you have to move. Aim. There should be only and only one aim. Like an arrow, move in that direction. Whatever it be, it has to come from inside. Okay, questions? Sorry, I have this bad habit of when I speak, I continue to speak and don't know where to stop. Because inspiration keeps coming, not my fault. But anyways, if you have some questions, please feel free. Any question? Aurobindo's yoga is Purna Yoga. So it is all comprehensive. It's not a yoga where you sit in meditation alone, that time you are doing yoga. When you go to ashram, you are doing yoga. All the time, even sitting, listening, speaking, everything has to turn into a conscious yoga. So, any questions? Integral? Yes, integral yoga is turning all our activities and movements of life into a conscious yoga. That's what integral yoga is about. Even subconsciously, as I said, day and night we are moving. Even when I am having a nightmare, I am moving forward. That is inbuilt in life. The great teaching of the Vedanta, which is very liberating. Even when it seems movement backward, it is a movement forward. Like from you come down a hill, You have to climb another hill. That's how you climb. But when you do it consciously, then it becomes yoga. And by yoga is meant union with the divine, the source, the highest, the origin, call it whatever. Everything originates somewhere. Let's say the movement of love, kindness, charity, benevolence. On the other hand, anger, fear, all this, where does it have its origin? Unconsciousness. There is only one origin, there cannot be two origins. When you take that movement to the origin, you will discover that the thing either vanishes or changes. We can take some examples if you want, but I'll be happy if you. One extreme, for instance, is fear, cruelty, they are one extreme. And we can see where is their origin, how they can be removed. Where does fear come from? This is the worst defect in human nature. The worst movement in human nature is cruelty. It is farthest from the divine. And the worst defect, if at all, is fear. And the worst sin, I don't like the word at all, not the mother and Aurobindo, but is selfishness and meanness. All these things are universal. They have a very common origin. Why is fear? Where does fear come from? What is fear due to? Why do we, right now it's going on, no? Corona, sometime it will be something else, vaccine will be there. We are afraid, so much afraid. Afraid of death. Again, why? Let's go to the root of fear. Why there is fear? What happens during fear? There is the extreme instinct of self-preservation. I don't want to die. I don't want to get this disease. I don't want. So there is a shrinking. Okay? Shrinking from what? From 1,000 appearances. From this and that and God knows how many things. And why do we shrink? Because the mind has built a lot of concepts. This causes this, that causes that. So where is the origin of fear? It is something within us which is shrinking. Shrinking. The more we shrink, the more fear increases. Like Kans, at the end remains isolated. Kans' story is that he is afraid. And due to this fear, Kans' story, Parikshit, all these, but Kans' story is typical. At the end, Kans is an isolated person. Everybody leaves him. He could have made another movement, and that is surrender. Because I want to preserve my individuality of the body, of mind, which is natural, that instinct of self-preservation. If I could surrender it, behind all appearances there is divine. That's why getting rid of fear, you require that degree of inner development. There is the divine behind everything. That is what is called as faith. Kalyan Shraddha. And fear will melt like this within minutes. Chutki mein. But difficult, no? To surrender to the divine. Fear is easier, natural, normal. So it is consciousness shrinking from contact with the divine. Ultimately, if you see it in a deepest sense, it is shrinking from the divine calling, divine contact. That's what happened to Arjuna. He was full of fear when he had to fight the battle. Fear of sin. So divine contact can sometimes create in us that sense. I lose my body, I lose my individuality. Various kinds of fears. Okay. So antidote to fear is faith and surrender to the divine. Cruelty. It is the complete perverse side of love. You forcibly want something to yield to you. What is the real way of things yielding naturally, spontaneously, giving itself? It's through love, isn't it? When we love someone, we automatically want to give. But in cruelty, you want forcibly. So you have hatred, possessiveness, domination, control. At the end, it is cruelty. Last is devour. Finish. So, by growing in love, you get rid of cruelty. By growing in faith and surrender, you get rid of fear. So, you get the hint. Instead of struggling with the defects, cultivate the movement, which is positive movement. Instead of trying to, how do I get rid of fear? How do I get rid of fear? Cultivate faith and surrender in the divine. How do I get rid of this tendency towards cruelty, if at all? By cultivating love. How do I get rid of meanness and selfishness? Again, generosity. And the basis of generosity again will be the same. It is that there is the one divine in everything. That's why if you find the divine, you will see most of the problems get automatically solved. If I see divine in everybody, will I be selfish anymore? Isn't it? और कुछ प्रश्न? आप लोग इतने सीरियस क्यों लग रहे हो? हाँ, हाँ, स्माइल करो थोड़ा. हाँ, क्या?
Coming to fear, like we have our school and the initially we spoke about, I spoke about the challenges that we have. But these challenges should not prolong to such an extent that we are not able to complete the work. Because in places like where we stay, sustainability is also important. Financial system is also important.
Yes, it
We've
is.
already been stretching since the past 12 years.
You're not charging any fees or something, or
But then,
they're not able to give much. Is that the?
no, they are ready to give also, but in beginner education, accept becomes very difficult. Right?
So there are two different things. Sustaining yourself is one part. You have to sustain the school in some way or the other. Either somebody sponsors, so you get some funds, or you make a leap of faith, whatever it is, But integral education is the aspect that you impart, regardless of anything. It doesn't depend. So here you have to understand that education is not just what is happening in the classroom. That's why I was pointing to the matrix. All the time when children are interacting, when they are, your environment of the school, it should be such that children, even if they don't learn a word, not that they would, when they go back, they feel enriched and remember with sweet memories. After many years, they'll remember वो टीचर थे ना, उसको देख के मुझे बहुत अंदर में इंस्पिरेशन आता था. That's your reward. So education is about awakening. And if children shrink from a teacher, they cannot awaken. They'll be afraid. So awakening comes when they develop a trust in the teacher. And it will get transmitted. As I said, there is a matrix. A doctor who is full of fear will instill fear in that who is to be healed. So similarly with teacher and taught, if the teacher doesn't have courage, the children will also go back with confusion, doubts. And how the teacher will have courage? Only when you upgrade your own inner software. So find out why there is lack of courage and instill courage. If you have the courage, you will automatically transmit it to children. That is the most important part. As somebody has said, mother has said, if you have courage, you can give it to others. It's like a candle. These are the important part. Much after, subjects are like exercise to the mind muscles, they are important. But they are actually speaking in the larger context. More important is how the child grew in terms of his consciousness. Subject is one part, it helps to build the mental muscles. But the consciousness grows through contact with the teacher. So it's important that we keep upgrading our consciousness by engaging in yoga, conscious yoga. So we can't have integral education unless the teachers are practicing integral yoga. And integral yoga is not a fixed method. It's not like every day come we'll sit together and meditate. We can't force people to do integral yoga, isn't it? Any yoga. But what we can do is, if you have a school in the name of integral yoga, once a week, twice a week, you can sit together and read something about what integral education is and try to look deep into it. That will only be possible if your motive is different. If the motive is not, let's say, earning a livelihood, of course you should earn a livelihood, but you understand the joy of the work that one is engaged in, and the attitude would then be, it is my seva to the mother or the divine, whatever way you want to believe it. This is my service to the divine. Then things will change. So long as it's a job, it doesn't work. It's like I may apply all the principles, but my motive is अभी यहाँ पढ़ाना है, अब ठीक है इंटीग्रल एजुकेशन का सिस्टम है, but anyways I am on a 9 to 5 job, it doesn't work. See the difference? Within our consciousness, our motives, they are important. So all that is important, sustainability and all I understand, but most important is the growth of consciousness in children, in us. At least if you can initiate the process in those who are budding seeds. Make the school environment beautiful, keep the language beautiful. Wherever there is beauty and harmony, there the divine manifests. Where is your school? Are you all of you are from one school? Which school is this?
School where we wanted you for the inauguration.
Huh?
School where we wanted you for our inauguration.
Oh, okay. I'm so sorry. Amravati.
Yes.
Yeah, but I'm sorry I told you that, too many travels. But we'll come one day, someday.
Any like you can convey the message, it is much more than message.
Yeah. But my apologies again. But because of my travels, too many travels, so normally what I do is I club. If I go to one side, then few places like that. Otherwise it becomes very difficult to go just for. And generally I'll tell you, inauguration and all are very formal events. It's like I always say people, marriage is not what happens on the day of marriage. Okay? Marriage is what happens afterwards. After the hurdang and the halla is over. So formal inaugurations is my personal view. I've seen now also 150th year, a lot of people are celebrating. I've myself been fortunately, unfortunately part of some of these programs where they will have big people coming in. And my personal take is politics and spirituality mix very badly. Because what happens is the whole attention gets diverted. And then, politicians believe that they know everything about everything. So it becomes so difficult. I have heard such fantastic things there, I've heard somebody say from a platform that Aurobindo was indeed great yogi. He was born on the same day, he left his body on the same day, he achieved nirvana on the same day. So I had to say that's about Buddha, and that too is a story. It's not. So, they mix up and it creates confusion because most people become very restless. Their atmosphere is such. So let it be in peace and quietude. Let the school grow and have something like a small little workshop rather than inaugurations. They are inauguration also best is a quiet affair. Please, mothers, invoke her, and then things will be wonderful. So you had written to me, right? Yeah. So
Basically, we were looking for somebody who would convey message in Hindi.
yes. So now that's why I said there is the matrix. So when politicians come and inaugurations happen, the matrix is not right. That's good. So the matrix should be that yes, sometime we can have not just one little talk, but maybe couple of talks, or maybe a day's program when we can have only Hindi. आज हिंदी में था क्या बोलना था मुझे? हाँ, तो मुझे नहीं पता था. आपने अंग्रेजी में बोला विषय, तो मैं अंग्रेजी में शुरू हो गया. तो बहुत अच्छा रहेगा, अच्छी बात है. तब तक उनको बहुत सारे कुछ हैं भी हिंदी में हैं. आप चाहोगे तो हम लोग जूम पर भी कर सकते हैं, ये सब संभव है. कोई ज़रूरी नहीं है. यस, मैं समझ रहा हूँ एक साक्षात्कार में एक अलग वो रहता है, लेकिन फिर भी जो सुविधा अवेलेबल है उसमें हम लोग कर सकते हैं. जब भी आप लोगों को ऐसा लगे तो 2 महीने 3 महीने में हम लोग 1 घंटे 1.5 घंटे का जूम सेशन रख सकते हैं. टीचर्स के साथ तो रख सकते हैं ना. हाँ.
Mother said that to be a good teacher, you have to be a supreme psychologist.
सुप्रीम.
Psychologist.
Yes, yes. And a yogi.
So, understand the child first more than the subject.
सो वही है. साइकोलॉजिस्ट कौन है? साइकोलॉजिस्ट अब ठीक है, मैं स्विच कर दूँ हिंदी में, इंग्लिश में चलने दूँ. आई कैन टॉक हिंदी इज बेटर. साइकोलॉजिस्ट कौन है? साइकोलॉजिस्ट वो नहीं है जिसके ऊपर स्टैंप लगाएगी, ये मनोवैज्ञानिक है. हाँ, बहुत बार मनोवैज्ञानिक देख के लगता है मेंटल केस है, खुद ही. ठीक है. बोलते कभी कभी अच्छा आप साइकेट्रिस्ट हो, तो थोड़ा मजाक करने का उनका होता है. अच्छा मेंटल केस. मैंने कहा हाँ मेंटल हूँ, सेंटिमेंटल नहीं हूँ. और और दूसरा है ये जैसी दुनिया है ना, उसमें आप सैनिटी इज़ नॉट ए वेरी बिग क्रेडिटेबल वर्ड. ठीक है ना. तो एनीवेज द इम्पॉर्टेंट एस्पेक्ट इज कि मनोवैज्ञानिक कौन होता है? मनोवैज्ञानिक होता है जो आपके अंदर में मनुष्य की प्रकृति को समझता है. और वो पढ़ना समझना सबसे कठिन है. हम जड़ प्रकृति समझते हैं, हम जीव विज्ञान में बायोलॉजी, जैविक रसायन, कोशिका, इनके बारे में समझते हैं. मनोवृत्तियाँ कहाँ से आती हैं, जो हम क्या हैं, हम कैसे संसार में एक दूसरे के साथ व्यवहार करते हैं, वो क्यों है, ये मनोविज्ञान का हिस्सा है. और वो मनोविज्ञान का जो विषय है वो जैसे पश्चिमी कंटेक्स्ट में पढ़ाया जाता है, वेस्टर्न में, बहुत सुपरफिशियल है. मनोविज्ञान का जो रियल अनुसंधान हुआ है वो भारतवर्ष में हुआ है. पर ये भी सच है कि बहुत कम लोग हैं, पर कम से कम हम स्वयं को आत्मानुसंधान करके बहुत कुछ जान सकते हैं. क्योंकि मनोविज्ञान की पुस्तक तो हम ही है, हमको स्वयं को पढ़ना है, बहुत कुछ समझ जाएंगे. हम संसार को देखेंगे, बहुत कुछ समझ जाएंगे. तो खुली आंखों से संसार को देखना, चीज़ें होती हैं क्यों होती हैं, विचार आते हैं क्यों आते हैं, भावनाएं अंदर उठती हैं क्यों उठती हैं, तो वो स्वयं को समझना, मोटिव्स को जानना सबसे बड़ी चीज़ है, मोटिव्स. तो मनोविज्ञान इज ऑल अबाउट दी साइकोलॉजिकल फोर्सेस दैट गवर्न आवर लाइफ. और सबसे बड़ा बच्चे के कंटेक्स्ट में स्वधर्म क्या है, उसका नेचुरल टेम्परामेंट, वे ऑफ बीइंग. तो ये सारी चीज़ें मनोविज्ञान का हिस्सा हैं. और कई चीज़ें हैं जो हम लोग बच्चों को नहीं समझ पाते हैं, जिसके कारण कितना कन्फ्यूजन होता है. बच्चे बहुत सफ़र करते हैं इस बात से कि बड़े उनको नहीं समझ पाते. बहुत, ये बिगेस्ट कॉज ऑफ पेन इन चिल्ड्रन इज दिस, कि हमारे माता पिता, हमारे शिक्षक, अभिभावक हमें नहीं समझ पा रहे. होता है ना, सहन किया है ना ये सब पेन. तो बच्चों को समझना, स्वयं को भी समझें कैसे. तो साइकोलॉजिस्ट होना बहुत ज़रूरी है, टू अंडरस्टैंड वन सेल्फ, टू नो वन सेल्फ एंड टू अंडरस्टैंड वन सेल्फ एंड टू मास्टर वन सेल्फ. मनोविज्ञान में ये होता है, हम मास्टर कैसे करें अपने आप को. इम्पल्स है, उसमें कुछ भी कह दिया, तो हम कैसे अपने आप को नियंत्रित करें. कौन सी ऐसी कैपेसिटी, बुद्धि के मूवमेंट्स. सो एक पुस्तक अगर आप पूछो मुझसे साइकोलॉजी की, जो इंडियन साइकोलॉजी, जो भारतीय मनोविज्ञान की एक पुस्तक अगर पढ़नी हो, एनी रिकमेंडेशन? हाँ, यस, रीड द भगवद गीता, रीड इट केयरफुली, एंड द महाभारत इफ यू वांट. आप पूरा एकदम क्लैरिटी से मनोविज्ञान समझ आ जाएगा. महाभारत पढ़ें और श्रीमद् भगवद गीता पढ़ें, यू विल अंडरस्टैंड ह्यूमन साइकोलॉजी इन ए वेरी नाइस वे. ऑफकोर्स देयर इज नो एंड, कोई भी पुस्तक सब कुछ नहीं कंटेन कर सकती है. मदर एंड aurobindo ने तो बहुत विशाल भूमि पर ले गए, बड़े डिटेल्स में, एक एक इंट्रिकेसीज में चले गए. बट अगर एक क्विक आपको ओवरव्यू मनोविज्ञान की अगर चाहिए तो श्रीमद् भगवद गीता में है. मनोविज्ञान में ये सब आता है. जीवन का लक्ष्य क्या है, हमारा उत्थान कैसे होता है, हमारा विनाश कैसे होता है, सब कुछ है उसमें, मूल रूप से दे दिया गया है. भय कहाँ उत्पन्न होता है, क्रोध क्यों उत्पन्न होता है, हमारी त्रिगुणात्मक प्रकृति, इसके बारे में जानना एक फंडामेंटल नॉलेज है. हम कैसे अपने आप को अलग करें प्रकृति से, फिर देखें, सब कुछ है. बहुत व्यापक दृष्टिकोण है मनोविज्ञान. और योगी तो बहुत आवश्यक है, बट बिना ये बोले कि मैं योगी हूँ, बड़ा भयानक है. हाँ, ठीक है. तो आइडियल टीचर को योगी भी होना चाहिए, मनोवैज्ञानिक भी होना चाहिए, विषय का ज्ञान तो होना ही चाहिए, लेकिन विषय का सतही ज्ञान नहीं, पर उसकी गहराई में जाके. और वो तभी होता है जब हम प्रश्न करते जाते हैं. प्रश्न हमारी ज्ञान की उत्तरों की सीमाओं को धकेलते हैं. रुकना नहीं चाहिए किसी एक, जब तक आप उस प्रश्न के अंतिम छोर तक नहीं पहुंच जाते. डोंट स्टॉप. Don't stop with the standard answer given in the book. Okay? So carry it. Go deeper. तो एक अलग संसार, एक संसार के बाद एक संसार, आप लेयर बाय लेयर जाते हो. तो one must go deep into the heart of knowledge where there is wisdom. There you will find wisdom. Okay? So ये भी ज़रूरी है. You need almost endless patience to be a teacher. देखो भगवान कैसे सिखाता है, गिव अप नहीं करता है. Endless patience to be a good teacher. Okay? ठीक है. Until we meet again. All right? Any other question? Quick last question.
How do we handle expectations? Like parents have expectations from us, and if we work in an organization, they have expectations. And parents also have expectations. But they tell me they not. Sometimes we have to say no. Sometimes we give 100%. Still, the other person is not happy.
Never live life for another person. Take it like an axiomatic truth. You'll always be unhappy, and the other person also will be unhappy. Do things because deep within your heart you must do it. That doesn't mean becoming rude. And sometimes it may seem that you are trying to fulfill somebody's expectation, but no, turn it into a strength. Say, for example, if parents have an expectation, look inside and see what really they are expecting. Now, don't do it to satisfy their expectation, because there is no end to that. But use it as an opportunity to perfect yourself more and more. That's all. But try to fulfill God in yourself. Not the ego self, but the God in yourself. What does the divine would want from me in a given situation? Now you see how the things will change even though they don't change. Parents have an expectation, for example, that I'm giving a common example, that if they are not well, you will look after. Now you see, it can be put in different ways. One is, I'm not here to look after you, I'm here to do what God wants me to do. Very big word. Okay, this is one way. Now, another is, look inside. And you can understand the same situation in another way. Forget for a moment they are parents. If it was somebody who was in a state of suffering, who knew, who was like your friend, what will you do? Will you not care? You'll care. So you will care, but now the attitude is different. You are not doing it so that parents recognized, oh, you did so much care for me. But you are doing it because you want to perfect in yourself the beautiful movement of care. Care is a very beautiful movement. It comes from the soul. Shubhendra said care, sympathy, kindness, service, all these come from the depth of the soul. Whether they understand it or they don't understand it is irrelevant. You have served the divine in them and through them. And that you can do with everybody around. But for that you don't have to change anything like, no, how do I satisfy or fulfill them? That attitude should change. Just be genuine inside yourself. People may not understand, it's okay. Never live for the opinion of others. Never live so that other person will have a good opinion about you. No. That's an impossibility besides. That should not be. Parents will say, oh, what a wonderful daughter I had. Doesn't matter. But be good for the joy of being good. When you go back, the divine, he should say, yes, my child, you did what I wanted you to do. So keep feeling for the divine will inside in every given situation. But in general, it's always good to be kind and generous towards human beings, including parents. They are also human beings. So just understand that they don't understand it, their limitation. But I don't have to do what they want me to do all the time. No, it's not possible. I must do what is true and right from deep within. But at the same time, it doesn't mean that I enter into a struggle and a fight with them. You don't understand me. Somebody who is indifferent to criticism and appreciation walks free. You may do the same thing, but with a different attitude. It's the story of Yagvalk. You know that story, no? Why does one love the wife and the child? One loves the wife not for the sake of the wife, but for the sake of the self. One loves the child not for the sake of the child, but for the sake of the self. Now in your life you will see that certain people get connected to you. That's destiny. Parents, friends, if you are married, husband, wife, children. Now one option is that you do things to them as a duty. That's not a very good word, but it's okay in average life. But duty has no end, because parents may expect a whole lot of duties. But other is that they are connected in my life, how best I can be with regard to them. But keeping in mind that don't do anything which will contradict your deepest impulsion of truth. That should not happen. Supposing they expect that, I'm giving an example, that you want to pursue your life here or integral education, teaching in a new way, and you feel that this is my expression. And parents say, no, 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 you leave it, you get married to a big NRI, and you start. Now that you should not do. That's your life, your choice. That there should be that expression. But if they expect things like care, which is reasonable in practical life, there is a reasonableness. But that too with a different attitude. Not to satisfy them or get some brownie points, she's the most loving daughter, son. No, but because if you are kind to everybody, isn't it? So from that perspective, that person has got connected with you in your life for whatever reason. You don't know. You can be completely detached inwardly and yet engage in acts of service, care and kindness because it's your service to the divine in countless ways. So many people will be connected. You don't know why. And to each one of them, you could be like a radiating light, radiating love. But don't expect things. When you do that, then there is a problem. Just be a radiating instrument of love and light, kindness, happiness, peace. Whether it will succeed or not is not important. You have done your work as a nishkam work and do it to the divine inside. Every human being is struggling. Even look at that way towards parents and others. But don't live for them. Don't make them your goal. My goal is to make my parents happy. You will fail miserably. Even if you gave completely. Okay? Is that clear? Yeah. Okay.
Any question?
Live to serve the divine, to realize the divine, seek the divine, and understand that the divine is not only in you or in an institution. He is in everyone. That should be the basis of our mutual understanding and connectedness with life. Not only with those whom we apparently, but with everybody. Because the divine is in everyone. And in everything, stone, objects, trees, plants, animals, bird, beast. What others do is their business. Whether they understand you, don't understand you, is their karma, whatever you want to call it. But live to serve the divine. There is no greater joy than that. Okay? And your school is one of the means through which you serve the divine. Okay. Thank you so much.